Ramadi. People die here daily.
The battle for control of Ramadi is a daily struggle for U.S. and Iraqi forces. Parts of the city are starting to see a little progress, and American soldiers say it's because their Iraqi counterparts are getting better.
Kind of a joke we have around here is that we're trying to work ourselves out of a job. The end state is that when the MIT teams are done with their mission, the Iraqi army will be trained up and functional to the point that the Americans aren't needed in the area anymore, which means we can pull out or reduce our forces to nothing more than advisory status.
Sergeant First Class Robert Monahan is part of a military transition or MIT team in Ramadi. His job is to train Iraqi soldiers to defend their own nation. It's a challenging task, since most of the troops come fresh from boot camp.
The learning curve that we see from the Iraqi soldiers, even with the language barrier, is incredible. You know, they came in, they knew how to march, they knew how to fire their weapons, they didn't know anything else, and we've been teaching them from the ground up. You know, when you're going on a raid, what's the goal of the raid? And that understanding, because of the cultural and language barriers, is a little more difficult. But when they finally understand what they're doing, they just take off. And then it's hard to keep up with them sometimes, which is a good thing.
Sergeant Monahan and his MIT team have worked with the Iraqis for almost a year. And in that time, he's gone from leading missions to simply advising the Iraqis and providing support if needed. In fact, the Iraqis plan and carry out various operations on their own and gather intelligence from local citizens. Surprise is the key in a night operation. Soldiers must move quietly to avoid detection and maintain the element of surprise.
You can walk on the road. I'll come up the backside.
Entering each house during a raid is a calculated move by everyone on the team. Weapons are not the only concern, as these troops scrutinize the house for any anti-Iraqi or coalition materials. They also study the people for any suspicious behavior. Iraqi soldiers have an advantage in this process because they know the language and can also notice subtle changes in behavior that American troops might miss. And oftentimes, more than one house is targeted during the mission for search. In this case, the Iraqi troops quickly moved next door before they lost the element of surprise.
Are we taking anyone from this house?
Yes.
Okay. Who are we taking? The one in the running pants with the beard?
You've got to hurt his face.
He's
taking outside on fight now.
He's going outside right now? He's already outside?
Yes, outside.
Okay.
After looking through the house, the soldiers head to the store where possible weapons are being kept. Nothing is found, but the storekeeper acts odd.
The name matches to an older man. I was thinking about the 23-year-old.
The Iraqis and American soldiers all agree to take in the storekeeper and the original suspect and head back, when the rear security notices movement.
As we were starting our exfil, the rear security element was doing its job, and it was staying in place until we were moving. Saw two more people that had been observing us coming out of the shadows, captured them. One of them actually had a letter of introduction and kind of a motivational letter from the Mujahideen in 5 Kilo.
When the suspects were taken in and interrogated, it was confirmed that they worked for a terrorist cell.
I was incredibly pleased because our rear security did their job, which means our training that we're doing is teaching them, we're teaching them is working. So that's the reason we're here. So when we're walking around at night, we can catch people doing that kind of stuff. Saw them, detained them, and we found the contraband, and the note from the cell leader, and that's a really good job. Plus, I think we did well dealing with the house.
The house itself and the terrorists taken off the street on this one night were small parts in the fight for Ramadi, but huge steps for the Iraqi soldiers. Sergeant Monahan says this was the most successful operation they've conducted so far. And he says it's proof that while the Iraqi Army is not up to American military standards, they are making progress.
We are nothing but the progression of knowledge through our history and our training. It will take us, I would say, within 3 to 5 years at the current operation tempo before we could walk away and know that this Army was going to stand up on its own and have a solid professional corps. And it's not because of their lack of desire, or in a lot of cases their lack of experience. What they have is a lot of young soldiers and a lot of old leadership. There's nobody in between.
Getting all their Iraqi counterparts more experience is the key of the MIT team, to ensure Iraqis can handle the job without American guidance. Like Sergeant Monahan said, the goal is for U.S. soldiers to work themselves out of the job. Army Sergeant David Repp, Ramadi, Iraq.